This video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon. Hi guys, I'm here with the final part of the Witch Mercy cosplay build series, and in this part I am finishing up the costume by working on the belt and creating the hat, or belts. There's multiple belts. To create the belts, I cut 3-inch wide strips of fabric using this brown fake leather material that I had. Once I have all of the strips that I needed cut out, I would go ahead and run that through my machine by folding the right side of the fabric together and then sewing it closed. So it has a hard time going through my machine because that's just the type of material that it is. In order to help it go through easier, I take some wax paper and fold it over the top and bottom of these strips of fabric. Once it's fully sewed together, I go ahead and just tear away the wax paper, and it should tear away fairly easily without having to try too hard. And if there's any tiny little pieces still stuck in, I'll just pick it out later, or I'll use a pair of tweezers to pick it out. But usually I don't have that much trouble with this. After that, I have to turn the belt inside out, or right side out, so that the seam that we just made is on the inside and the nice looking part is on the outside. And this takes a little bit of work just because it's fairly thin. Once it's fully the right side out, I go ahead and fold over the outer edges, fold that in so that there's going to be a nice clean edge, and then sew that down so that everything is sewn together and flat. And if your fabric is ironable, go ahead and iron it as well. Anyways, now I'm moving on to creating the hat. So I created this pattern, which is available on my store Envy, for the hat, and then cut it out on black fabric. I cut out 2 pieces of the brim of the hat, and then I cut out 1 piece of the top of the hat, the pointy triangle part, but I cut it on a fold. I also cut out the brim of the hat in foam in order to give it its shape, and I created a kind of frame-ish looking thing for the cone of the hat in order to make it stand up a bit using foam as well, although I didn't get footage of it, and for that I just kind of winged it by creating not necessarily like a wire fence shape, but kind of. It wasn't a full triangle, it was more a circle piece, a couple circle pieces actually, and then a stick of thicker foam running through it. The foam I used for this is 4 millimeters thick, by the way. Since I didn't have any foam pieces large enough to cut the brim out in one piece, I have to glue it together, and I used contact cement to do that. After that, I sewed the 2 pieces of fabric for the brim of the hat together, but only along the outermost side. I left the center open so that I could slip the foam piece in after. Once I had the foam piece in, I go ahead and pin the fabric along the inner circle closed and then hand sew that down. I'm sure this could also fit under a machine, but I found hand sewing it to be just easier. I sewed the open side of the cone together and then flip that so that the seam, you know, was on the inside and the pretty part was on the outside. And then pin that onto the brim of the hat, the circular centerpiece, and hand sewed all of those pieces together. And for this, you probably are going to have to hand sew it, because I don't know how you'd fit this under a machine, but if you figure out how, well, that's impressive. After that, I just had a few more belt pieces to finish up, and this one specifically is for the hat. Since it's whiter, it's a different color brown, and it has the yellow edges. So here I'm just sewing on yellow bias tape to create all of the yellow edges. After I sew that together, I attach the belt buckles, but first I have to make the belt buckles, and I made the belt buckles out of 4mm EVA foam. And what I'm doing here is just dremeling the edges so that everything is nice and smooth. And then I take contact cement to glue all the pieces together, coat it with wood glue, and then spray it with some silver spray paint. And to finish off the belt buckle before attaching it, I add some black oil paint, kind of smear that around just to give it some dimension and make it look a lot less flat than it was looking before this. And then I top that off with a glossy coat of spray paint and attach it to the belt, and I just hand sew that on in order to get it to stick. And that finishes up this video and all of the stuff for the Witch Mercy costume. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and just the Witch Mercy series in general. I'm so happy to be moving on to other things. Hope you stick around to see them. Thanks for watching and have a lovely day. Bye!